Hey guys, amazing stuff for you on the next generation forehand. It's very important to understand there's not a wrong way or a right way. There's a better way. But today's game is so fast and it's so quick. It's like advanced pinball. Everything is in a state of flux. Movement is at an all-time high. Preparation is at an all-time high. But most of all, so is stroke mechanics. And on the forehand that I'm going to show you, there's a few tweaks and adaptations from 3 or 4 years ago that I'd like to get into. But this is a roadmap, a blueprint for you to follow of how to hit the optimal forehand in today's game, the next generation forehand, and everything is backed up by science. Okay? Because of the background in biomechanics and how to connect the dots, everything through research, analytics, all the analysis that I've done, and I've looked at over 50,000 MRIs of strokes, okay? Besides just seeing what's out there on the Pro Tour, but it's very important to understand that I'm not telling you to do this because Federer does it or Rafa does it or Djokovic. I'm telling you, this is the better way to hit a forehand. And by the way, that's what they do. To me, that's the leader in the clubhouse. Let's get started. On the next generation forehand, let me explain a few subtle things that people have modified or they've adapted. Now, when you take the racket back, as we talked about many times, the shoulders always take the racket back. We always take it back in a unit turn. The bigger muscles run the show. The bigger muscles run the show. Very, very important. At the club level, a lot of times people take it back with their arm. And you always want to take it back with the shoulders. It's what we call a unit turn. Now, look what I'm doing here. As I turn, okay, my shoulders, I load on the right leg, if I'm a righty. My shoulders, this is huge, go further than my hips. When the shoulders go further than your hips, it's what we call a separation angle. And what it does, biomechanically speaking, when the shoulders go further than the hips, it creates a separation angle and a stretch. So that means when all this is said and done, you're going to have a little more torque, you're going to have a little more energy, you're going to have a little more giddy up at the end. A lot of people, because they're old school, they just turn sideways to the ball. Now, I guess that's better than not turning at all. But at the end of the day, the shoulders should go further than the hips. Now, whether you're going to step in and use a closed stance or a square stance or open, that's in a whole nother video. This is about the next generation forehand. So the shoulders, take the racket back. I want the elbow away from the body. Always keep that elbow away from the body. One of the biggest mistakes is people are in here, and I guarantee it's probably going to stay in there. Elbow away from the body. Here's the tip of the day. Pretend you have a light. You have a light on your elbow. That light is shining at the ball. This is the hitting side of the body. This is the hitting side. This is called the outside. Hitting side, outside. That would be the inside. So, unit turn, shoulders further than your hips, elbow pointed at the ball. Think there's a light on your elbow. A light at the ball, you're going to keep it on this side. Now, here's where it gets tricky. When you take the racket back, you'll see all kinds of modifications. You'll see Federer kind of like this. You might see Kyrgios like this. You see Roddick used to take it back and the racket was inverted. This is what we call an inversion. When the racket is tilted a little bit. You should experiment with this because when you take it back and there's a little bit of inversion, the elbow acts like a brace. The elbow will act like a brace. So then when we do the stroke, you have a higher probability that the racket's going to stay on this side. And I do this for thousands and thousands of players, juniors, pros, and club players who come to me and I change the angle of the racket. Because if you can change the beginning, okay, if you can change the beginning of how someone takes it back, it really influences the before, the during, and the after. This is what the art of the deal is in correcting strokes, okay? People are always trying to say your elbow's too close or bend your knees or shorten your backswing, all good stuff. But sometimes if you just change how you take the racket back, your brain is going, what the heck is this all about? I've never done that. And when the brain is confused, you cut right through the muscle memory. All these years of doing something a certain way. And that's what I do for thousands of people around the world. Okay, I change the beginning, and a lot of times when they take the racket back, I have a little inversion of the racket, and this acts like a brace. So you take the racket back, whether you want it up or a little bit tilted, it's up to you. But here's the art of the deal. Elbow up,